Hey Lexi, it's WrestleMania season, so what do you say we watch some matches from Showcases of the Immortals past and talk about it?
Absolutely.
And let's get the conversation started. Hello and welcome to LexiCon. It is Maddie.
Lexi.
And welcome back to Lexi, who's doing her first show. Heck, this is our first show period since she and her siblings got COVID.
That's fact.
So if you're thinking it's not still out there and it's not still real, well, buck up, mask up, get vaccinated, do what you can to prevent the spread of this disease, and hopefully we'll remain healthy long enough to bring you our podcast on a more regular schedule. Now, our big WrestleMania episode, during which we're going to watch the entirety of WrestleMania 21, is coming up next time. But for this episode, we're going to watch a few selected matches from WrestleMania 26, each of which features performers that are going to be featured prominently on this year's WrestleMania. Alright, so if you're watching along with us, most likely on Peacock, it's going to be Season 26, because this is WrestleMania 26, which incidentally was the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania, even though the WWE made a big deal about WrestleMania 25 being the 25th anniversary. But as we all know, you celebrate the first anniversary of the year after the event. There go, WrestleMania 26 would be the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania. This was also the first WrestleMania that we saw once we moved to our current home state.
Yes.
So it's also the first WrestleMania I got after my dad passed away.
Wow.
And I remember very little of it.
Okay.
So it's going to be fun to go back and revisit it. And the first match we're going to be revisiting is the three-way match between Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Ted DiBiase Jr., once known as Legacy. If you're watching along with us on Peacock or probably on your own disc or cassette, we're going to be skipping up to, I had the time up, 16 minutes and 45 seconds. We just came off a package about the Access event, or whatever the Fan Fest was called that year. Our closed captioning says bell ringing. We can see the WrestleMania sign pretty much dead center. And we're fixing to sweep down to the entranceway and get started. So I'm going to give a countdown, 3, 2, 1, and play. We'll all play together on play. And of course, if you're not watching along with us, hopefully we'll be entertaining enough, which is maybe a 50-50 proposition. But you know what? I need to give us more credit. We're going to be entertaining enough to keep this entertaining. By saying how many times I can say entertaining in one segment. So anyway, without any further ado, the first match we're going to be watching from WrestleMania 26, which originally aired on March 28th, 2010, meaning it's just celebrated its 15th anniversary, is Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Ted DiBiase Jr., the former Legacy, coming up in 3, 2, 1, play. I hope I remember to turn the audio down. I did. See that big pyramid set up there? I have no memory of that. Like I said, I know we watched this show. We even went so far as to, I listed all the matches and passed out papers to everyone in the house so we could all make our predictions about who was going to win each match. And this elaborate setup here, I remember setups like this, but I don't remember this one. I remember one from like the year Ray won the World Championship and he like made his entrance starting up at the top of it. I don't remember this setup at all, which just blows my mind.
Yeah.
The first competitor coming here is Ted DiBiase Jr., obviously the son of Ted DiBiase.
Yes.
Third generation wrestler because Ted DiBiase's father and mother, I believe, were both professional wrestlers.
Interesting.
This was at a time when they had a group called Legacy where all the members were second and third generation wrestlers. Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase Jr. both being third generation wrestlers. Cody Rhodes being second generation wrestler. And I guess this was after they split up since they're wrestling each other.
That makes sense.
But just diving back in the history of Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, which has been alluded to a lot in recent television programming. You were going to say something?
No.
Oh, okay. And there's the young man.
Oh my gosh.
The son of the American Dream, the son of the plumber. The current WWE World, or what is it, the Undisputed Universal Champion or Undisputed World Champion.
Okay, obviously he looks like himself, but the hair, it hardly looks like him.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that's his natural hair color.
Probably.
I think he just dyes it in tribute to his dad.
I feel as though the lighter hair kind of looks better for him.
Well, we're definitely more used to it. I always thought Cody had kind of a... I don't want to say this the wrong way, but some people have unique bodies. It doesn't mean it looks bad, but it doesn't look like most people who are muscular and whatnot. You know, there's a general, I don't know what the word is, but you'd see a lot of people who have, big muscular bodies. They all look relatively similar, but it's unique to them. But Cody always had kind of a unique shape to his. But somebody like Rick Rude was another guy who had kind of a unique build amongst bodybuilders. And there's Orton, who was... He's definitely smaller than he is now, but he's bigger than he was when he started, which we're going to see when we watch WrestleMania 21 on the next episode.
He looks less defined than he could.
He's not as cut, he's not as big either. And he's going to be even smaller when we watch him on WrestleMania 21, and he'll have less tattoos back then, too. Unfortunately, he doesn't have that one tattoo right under his pec that I can't stand that just looks like a scar. I don't know if it was to cover up a scar or something, which is clever enough, I guess, but it bugs me.
I'm not sure.
I think Cody looks better with the long tights that he wears now instead of the trunks, too. And Cody I didn't like the boots Cody wore, as far as, talking about ring gear. Some people have really cool boots. Some people just have, like, average boots. And I didn't like Cody's boots back then.
Randy Orton looks extremely young there, compared to now.
Well, he's 15 years younger than he is now. I don't know Randy Orton's exact age. I know he was in the Marines before he started wrestling, so he probably started wrestling in his early 20s. And I know he'd been wrestling since about 2002 at this point. So this is 2000. I'm saying he's probably early 30s at this point, maybe 30, 31.
That's a little bit crazy.
Which would, again, it's 15 years younger than whatever he is now.
Randy Orton is currently 44 years old, turning 45 very soon. What date does this podcast go on?
This podcast goes up on the 30th.
Okay, so like a couple days before his birthday.
And this would have been a couple days before his birthday as well then, so he's probably 29 at this point.
Nice.
If my math is correct, and I heard you correct. I'm assuming this is a triple threat match, which means all 3 men in the ring at the same time. No disqualifications, no countouts. First pinfall or submission wins. And I could look and see who won. I don't remember. Like I say, I watched it live. I don't even know what my prediction was at the time. And like I said, I don't even know who's... Legacy was a heel faction, but now they've split up. I don't know if they all remained heels. The fact that Cody and DiBiase are going up against Orton makes me feel like either they're both baby faces now and he turned on them, or they turned on him and they're both heels. I think Cody was mostly a heel in his WWF runs. WWE. Look, I'm sorry. I'm from the WWF era. I'm going to call it WWF probably most of the time. But in most of his runs with the company before he left to go on the independent circuit and then start AEW and then would come back, of course, he was a heel. I think during his run as Stardust, he was primarily a babyface. Definitely wasn't like a hardcore heel. Yeah. But most of the times I remember seeing Cody. And like I say, we definitely... Has he got Triforces on his... He does. Maybe because there was 3 of them. He's got red Triforces on his boots. Okay. Look at that. There's no doubt about that. That is the Triforce. Nice. I guess because there was 3 of them in the faction, he had that signage on his boots. But well, I mean, I don't think you can necessarily trademark 3. Plus, it's not gold like the Triforce is. I guess. But yeah, that's undoubtedly hell. The Lego, Black Storm, there's a Lego series of like the bad guys in the space series. Yeah. It's black something, and they have like an upside down yellow Triforce as their logo.
I was going to say, talking about the ages and Cody and whatnot, in this match, he is the age I'm about to be.
All right.
He would have been 24 years old here.
I would say you might as well share it, because if anybody cares that much, they can just look it up. How old was Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 26?
Yeah. I did not look up the other guy.
Of course, every match we're going to be watching on this episode, as well as a lot of the matches we're going to be watching next week, prominently feature wrestlers who are, prominently featured on current WWE programming, and will feature prominently on the upcoming WrestleMania 41, which, again, will be the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania.
Nice. Ted DiBiase Jr. is currently 42 years old. All of them have birthdays coming up later.
So Cody was the youngster in the group.
Yes.
Still would be if they were together, but he's the younger of the 3.
Not terribly far apart in age, but yeah, definitely the youngest. He's 5 years younger than Randy. 3 years younger than the other guy, Ted.
Yeah. About that anyway.
Yeah, something like that.
Of course, Cody's father, the legendary Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, multi-time NWA World Champion, legendary wrestler. Randy's father was Bob Orton Jr., tag team champion, probably held regional titles as well. He was never a world champion in a national company. And his grandfather was the original Bob Orton. So he goes back 3 generations. And like I said, Ted DiBiase Jr., his father was Ted DiBiase. Probably best known as the $1 Million Man. Yeah. For his run in the 80s and 90s in the WWF. But he's one of the wrestlers who would be on the short list of greatest wrestlers to never hold a world title. Had a big run in Bill Watts' Mid-South organization. Also wrestled in Japan fairly extensively early in his career. And his father was Iron Mike DiBiase, who I believe died in the ring. I do think that Iron Mike wasn't his biological father. Maybe he was adopted. But for all intents and purposes, Iron Mike was his father. And I think his mother, oh my gosh, whose name escapes me, Helen something, I believe. She was also a professional wrestler. Okay. Not under the name DiBiase, though. That's why I can't remember what her name is. speaking of Ted DiBiase, would be Ted DiBiase Jr.'s grandmother.
Yeah.
And, of course, Cody's half-brother, Dustin, a pretty well-known professional wrestler as well. Wrestled as Gold Dust for a lot of his career in the WWF. Cody's going for a moonsault here. Nope. He said, "Hey, Ted, you're not going to take my pin? What's up with that, pal?"
What year was this again?
2010. I mean, no title on the line here or anything. I mean, if you both have a grudge with Randy, shouldn't the point just be to beat him up? Does it matter who actually beats him? I guess, the winner's purse, you win the match, you get the bigger share of the money.
Yeah.
Cody's tights are very University of Texas themed. Not necessarily intentionally, but that's what I think of when I see that color.
That's fair. I'm reading Wikipedia pages over here.
Double A takedown by Cody. Cody, the current, as I say, I think it's officially the undisputed WWF champion.
I don't know if those colors work for him.
What, who, Cody?
Yeah.
I think if he had better boots,
Maybe.
it'd be all right. I very much Texas Longhorn, University of Texas vibes, which
his
I don't think
look
Cody
and
went to the
whatnot
University
has
of
definitely
Texas,
been
so
refined since this.
best of my knowledge, Cody's always been announced from Georgia, so having come along in the days when his dad was the booker and one of the major stars for Jim Crockett Promotions. And Ted DiBiase Jr. has been eliminated from the Royal Rumble. Not actually. Randy firing up.
Reading this, yeah, DiBiase did die in the ring, July 2nd, 1969, after a heart attack. But he was pronounced dead.
What was his wife's name?
His wife's name?
It was Helen something, wasn't it?
Helen Hild.
There you go. Couldn't remember the last name, but I at least got the first name. And as far as I know, she was a professional wrestler as well. I think Randy...
Yes, and a model.
I think Randy's going to be facing Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. And, of course, Cody's going to be fighting against John Cena, who we'll talk about a little more later, I think. But, how you feel about just Cody in general and the run he's had?
I like Cody.
Of course, after, a number of stilted runs and the ill-fated Stardust gimmick, left the WWF, went to seek his fortune, became NWA champion, wrestled in Japan with the Bullet Club, wrestled in TNA, Ring of Honor, ended up helping start AEW, where he had a couple-year run, then came back to the WWF as like the prodigal son returning. Failed to finish this through at WrestleMania 39, which was a pretty big shock, but finally did so at WrestleMania 40 and has held the title ever since. And I mean, considering the current model, I wouldn't expect him to lose that title anytime soon.
Yeah. Like,
they don't really need to hot-shot a title switch to pop a rating or a buy rate or anything. So this seems to be the era of longer title reigns, or maybe the other title gets switched back a little bit. But this title, you got it on the right guy, and the right guy was Roman, and now is Cody. I don't expect him to lose that belt anytime soon. So I'm saying I'd be surprised if John Cena wins the 17th championship, at least right now.
Yeah.
But then again, I was surprised when Cody didn't win it 2 years ago, so who knows?
Yeah, that's fair.
I do wonder sometimes if I'll be watching long enough to see Cody actually lose the title, because I'm not crazy about some of the directions that the current World Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Entertainment is heading in.
I'm sorry.
Well, they just seem to like the platform. They seem to really be leaning into the current administration, let's just say that. I mean, we've always known that Vince was friendly with Trump, and Trump's done some stuff with the WWF before. And, of course, Linda McMahon is the new Secretary of Education. Not sure what she did to qualify for that other than be friends with Trump, but it just seems like they like the platform pro-Trump acts like Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker and Pat McAfee and even The Rock to a lesser degree.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, their continued association with another dictatorship, even if not in name, with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And now the whole Royal Rumble's going over there next year, which I've already said I have no plans to watch it. And the latest thing I've heard is that one comedian whose name I don't know and don't care to learn, who said those horribly offensive Puerto Rican jokes during Trump's campaign, is now hosting a WrestleMania roast for the WWE over WrestleMania weekend. So
interesting. It's
like, and there's Orton hitting the punk kick on Cody.
Yeah.
Getting back to the actual match, but I'm trying to be a modern wrestling fan. I'm not as big a fan as I used to be, but I'm still a fan. But
yeah.
Depending on how... And I know there's other wrestling out there besides the WWF. I'm not trying to suggest that WWE is the only game in town, but they're clearly the biggest, and they have their hands in a lot of wrestling.
Absolutely.
And that one's over.
Wow.
Randy Orton he hit the punt on Cody Rhodes, which is the move he's been trying to hit Owens with, but Owens keeps escaping, and then he hit the RKO on Ted DiBiase Jr. to finish that match out.
Alright. Also, I was reading more about Ted DiBiase, and you were correct. His father was his adoptive father.
Dan Deerdorf, offensive lineman for the Phoenix Cardinals, now the Arizona Cardinals. Well, they're not even Arizona anymore. They moved to... Are they still in Arizona?
I have no
Where
idea.
did they move? They were the St. Louis Cardinals. I'm sorry. Then they moved to Arizona to become the Phoenix Cardinals. Now they're just the Arizona Cardinals.
Ah.
I have Dan Deerdorf's autograph.
Nice.
Yeah, I wrote to him when he was the one of the commentators in the Monday Night Football trio.
Nice.
They're at the Arizona Football Stadium for this event as Randy Orton plays the crowd. I do like that screen behind him. That looks cool. I guess it can raise and lower because that would have really been in the way.
Yeah.
It was there when they were rough. They're going to show the replay really quickly. Here's when he hit the punt on Cody. And then Ted DiBiase Jr. came in, tried to lock in the $1 Million Dream, his father's finishing hold. Orton with a nice kind of judo throw and then the RKO to finish it off. Referee with the gloves on too, even though nobody was bleeding. That's interesting. Counts the 1, 2, 3, and
case.
Randy gets a win, one of many in his career at WrestleMania. And I guess with that, we'll move on to our next match. All right, the second match we're going to watch on WrestleMania 26 is going to be the singles contest between CM Punk and Rey Mysterio. Now, this match is up on YouTube on the WWE Vault channel, which is a fantastic channel for classic and unseen matches and behind-the-scenes content. I highly recommend it, so you can watch along with us on that. Hopefully, we'll be pretty much queued up to the same time. As far as the main Peacock broadcast, we're at 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 31 seconds. And again, I'll count down 3, 2, 1, play, and we'll all play on play. And I do just want to say we watched a little bit of the package that aired before this match, and we got to see Dominic, who's of course featured prominently on WWE television now. He was 12 or 13 at the time, and he was already taller than Rey. So I thought that was funny. I don't think we'll see Dominic. He might be at ringside, but I don't think the family was involved in the match at all. But that was just an interesting little side note. So anyway, Rey Mysterio Jr., CM Punk, WrestleMania 26 in 3, 2, 1, play. I do want to just say really quickly the oh darn it, I thought I had it up. Do I not? Okay, hold on. I wanted to give the star rating for the match we just saw.
Alright.
There's CM Punk with the long hair, and this is the Straight Edge Society. CM Punk in the middle, the tall drink of water. On CM Punk's left side, on the right side of the screen, is Luke Gallows, and I believe the lady with the shaved head is Serena Deeb. But I may be wrong about that, but I think that's who that is. Again, we were watching at the time, but not religiously, and even though I watched this show, obviously I don't have much of a memory for it.
Punk with long hair makes
for some
me think
strange
of
reason.
Seth Rollins.
Oh, I did have it up. Randy Orton against Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase triple threat got 2 3/4 stars from Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer. For comparison's sake, the match we're going to watch now got 3 stars. I know this match, bell to bell, was only about 6 minutes, but the YouTube clip is 13 minutes. And these entrances, I did watch a little bit of it take a bit of time. So we got about 5 minutes worth of entrances here.
Alright.
Yeah, he's really kind of doing sort of a cult leader gimmick with the Straight Edge Society here. As I recall, like I said, I was not a regular viewer. I would watch on and off, and we'd check out some of the big shows. You see him talking about he's going to be the one to save Rey. Like I say, very cult leaderish.
Yeah.
That was the stipulation on this match. If Rey loses, he has to join the Straight Edge Society.
Ah.
I only remember that because I just read about it. Not because I remember, because I don't remember this match at all. I remember the Undertaker-Shawn Michaels match from this show, and that's about it.
Do you prefer Punk with long or short hair?
I think he looks better with the short hair.
Same.
Maybe if the beard wasn't so long there, if he just had like the sort of the really trim beard,
maybe
it'd work a little better.
I mean, like, he looks fine, but I think he does.
Punk's look when he first came in, his hair was long, but maybe not quite that long. Yeah, probably that long, about shoulder length. But he I don't think he had a mustache. I think he just had a goatee with that long hair, and he looked kind of. I mean, I was a fan of his because I'd heard good things about him on the Indies and was looking forward to seeing him wrestle. But he did look kind of goofy. This is a better look than that. Kind of John Wickish.
Like I said, Keanu, huh?
But yeah, I think he looks... Sometimes he's had a... Not bald shave, but like crew cut shaved.
Yeah.
Or he's just got it shorter now. I think it's a better look for him. And of course, the gear is pretty much the same as he wears now.
I'm imagining
that hasn't really changed.
Wrestling.
The logo on his shirt, which I guess is the Straight Edge Society. Oh, I like the G.I. Joe inspired trunks. You see that?
Nice.
With the star and the red, white, and blue. He's got a cobra tattoo. Like, not cobra like the snake, but cobra like the terrorist organization, G.I. Joe. Like their logo.
Nice.
Is one of his tattoos, so I'm assuming he was a fan.
Probably. Either that or really committed to a minor detail of a character.
But anyway, the Straight Edge Society shirts, they almost had a Bray Wyatt. See, like the Fiend. It almost looks like the Fiend on the front. I don't know if the same person designed them or if when they did the Fiend stuff they were inspired by it or what. Ray's got like, I'm pretty sure that's fake hair. I'm pretty sure that's part of his mask. I've never seen Rey Mysterio with hair that long. I've seen him with very, very short hair at best. But,
I don't know if the light blue is working for him.
It sort of reminds me of somebody else, but I can't think of who right off the top of my head. But there's another wrestler or somebody who has that sort of... I think it's a masked wrestler, too.
I'm not sure.
Honestly, kind of looks like Damian Priest. Just with a mask. Kind of looks like the hairstyle Damian Priest rocks a lot.
Yeah.
This is one of Ray's more subdued Big Show outfits, really.
Yeah.
Other than the hair. I guess the hair was the big thing. And this bedazzled armband he's got on. The gauntlet he's wearing there. But otherwise, just nice blue stripes. I have a Rey Mysterio mask. Not one that I got from him. I mean, just a mass-produced one. But
yeah. I bet his actual masks are worth quite a lot.
Probably. But I know for a long time he was giving them out like Brett would do with the sunglasses.
That's cool.
He'd wear a mask over his actual mask that he was going to wrestle in. He'd come out and take that mask off and give it to a fan.
Nice.
I actually watched an episode of WWE Treasures from a couple years ago with Ray and Dominic on it when they were looking for Ray and Eddie stuff.
Nice.
And he mentioned how he's given a lot of his masks away to other wrestlers too. When they wrestled him in big matches, they'd ask for the mask, and he was always generous about giving it to him.
That's cool.
It's funny, Ray's got that
Ray
big.
Seems pretty cool.
Ray's got that big back tattoo, and Brock Lesnar has a similar tattoo. And like early on in Ray's run with the WWF was also early on in Brock's run, and Ray put on like a lot of muscle weight when he came to WWF. And I'm not saying it was steroids. I'm not saying it wasn't, but you can see from his early days in the WCW days in the WWF, he put on a lot of muscle weight. And there was a shot one time backstage where you just saw his back, and we all thought it was Brock Lesnar at first. We were like, "Oh, that's Ray." And you saw the back. You saw a quick shot of the back tattoo and this big muscled up back. I'm like, "Okay, that's Brock." Oh no, it's not.
I bet one of those wrestlers is a lot taller than the other, though.
Oh yeah, but I mean, that there was no frame of reference. It was a close-up of their back, so you had no idea how tall they were. Yeah, I like the G.I. Joe trunks. You would think I would remember that, but no. I clearly was not paying that much attention.
Okay, a CM Punk Tumblr, but with G.I. Joe influence and, like, things. I don't know the exact design, but there's a design there somewhere.
Well, I mean, you could just pretty much take that logo right there that's on his trunks.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it would fit with his current character, but...
With his current one, I don't know. It would probably be his older one. But I'm sure there were fans of his older character stuff.
I don't think
it's just general fans of his that would like it. I
don't think it will embarrass you or upset you or anything to say that you had the same hairstyle that Serena Deeb has there at one point.
Yes, I did. Not ashamed to embarrass, but not going back to it.
No, but like it's one of those things. It's cool that you did it because you can always say, "Hey, I've done that."
It's like, yeah, done that.
I've rocked that look.
Other than the maintenance, I've grown quite fond of my long hair.
I would imagine these two, with a good amount of time, could put on a pretty great match. Like I said, this got 3 stars, but it only went 6 minutes, too, so you're not going to do... But so you can have a good match in 6 minutes, for sure. Yeah. But you're going to want to get into double digits, probably, to really approach very good or great.
Yeah. We did a Comic-Con recently, and Mom had a CM Punk Tumblr, and there was a guy who walked up all excited calling over for his other friend, knowing his friend would be really into it. His friend is already walking up really excited to find a CM Punk cup.
Nice. Yeah, I designed that cup.
He was very excited. He saw it. He's like, how much? And he just started grabbing out his wallet and everything. He's like, I have to have this cup.
It's too bad the glow-in-the-dark one we had, I think, was even cooler. But they both took a while to sell. Yeah. And just the glow-in-the-dark cups are more expensive to make, so it's tougher to make those if you don't think you're going to sell them. But I think it was an even cooler cup.
I think one of my friends
Casey's Custom Creation, C3 on Instagram and Facebook, if you want to check it out.
Could be one.
I don't know. I know it's sold, but even it took a while to sell. Like, I guess the Comic-Con crowd is... I mean, you would think there's a lot of wrestling fans.
There really is.
But we haven't... Our wrestling designs were not big sellers. They all took a little while. Even we did some Sting stuff right around his last match last year at this time.
So I think it is kind of specific or whatever. But yeah, we meet a good bit of wrestling fans, and There's, like, one vendor I see at some shows, like, all they sell is wrestling figures and whatnot.
That was a really nice sequence there. Ray came off the ropes and Punk power slammed him.
Yeah. And obviously we've also been at shows, like, one had Ric Flair's robe on display, another one had a wrestler at it. So...
Wow, I just realized CM Punk does not have nearly as many tattoos back then as he does now. Like, his whole chest is tattooed now. But I know he's got chest hair back then. I guess he doesn't.
So you
guess
are
he shaves
proof
or
that
waxes
you can
now,
get
but...
a lot of tattoos within 15 years.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting. I thought Punk had most of his tattoos once he started wrestling. I didn't realize that he'd actually gotten...
How many years did you get tattooed?
From 2013 to the start of the pandemic. So about 7 years.
How many tattoos did you get within 7 years?
132.
That's a lot. And that's half as long as it's been since this match. I don't think CM Punk got that many tattoos in 7 years, or even 15 years. Do you think any wrestler has that many tattoos?
Probably.
Who
And it
do you
depends
think
on
is the most
exactly
tattooed?
how you count too.
Yeah.
Oh, like I say, I'm not sure without looking. Punk has a fair amount. Undertaker has a lot. Randy has a fair amount now. Aleister Black, I think, has a bunch. Something like I think Brody King, he has a lot of tattoos. But Ray's got a good amount too, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
I really don't know. There's plenty of wrestlers that have plenty of tattoos, but as far as who really stands out as the most tattooed, I'm not sure. So do you have any memories from watching the show originally? Like I said, I remember...
I'm not sure I have many memories from the year 2010 at all. Except that's the year Monster High came out. I can tell you all about Monster High from 2010. That's like all I remember.
That's the year that we moved to North Carolina.
Okay, I remember that too.
And this was the first WrestleMania we saw as residents of the state of North Carolina.
I remember moving to North Carolina, and I remember Monster High for sure.
And like I say, I remember being so excited that I even printed out piece of paper with every match on it, and everybody in the house made their predictions, and I made up a whole chart about who got the most right.
It's hilarious how sometimes you can be really excited for something, and like it is really cool and important in the moment, but yeah, later on down the road, it's like, yeah, that happened.
But then, yeah, I bet...
And I loved it, but that's all I remember.
I honestly could not have told you a single match from the show other than the Shawn Michaels Undertaker main event.
You didn't keep any of your papers?
No. I'm not saying there's not one in a box somewhere, but I didn't intentionally keep them.
I say you've got boxes of papers. You recently showed us,
but even the
an old card from one of our wrestling tournament things.
But even the
shows.
But even the main event that we're gonna watch, the world title match that we're gonna watch, I had it backwards. I thought it was John Cena and Triple H, rather than John Cena and Batista.
Batista.
I think I was thinking about the WrestleMania the year before this.
Surprise Batista.
When I think that year I think it was. Well, no, that might have even been a triple threat. Batista, Triple H, and John Cena. Now that I think about it. There's Serena Deeb stopping Ray from hitting the 619. But no, because I think it was... No, I take that back. It was Edge, Big Show, and John Cena in one world title match at 25. And then it was Randy Orton and Triple H in the other one. And then this one, it was, like I say, John Cena and Batista. And there's the finish right there. Ray finishes it off, does not have to join the Straight Edge Society. And then it looks like it was Chris Jericho and Edge in the other world title match at this show, because this was another one of the eras where they had 2 world titles. Oh, they just mentioned Dominic in the commentary, too. They're like, Dominic, I know you're waiting. Daddy's coming home. Dominic has just been a revelation. He's been, once he turned heel, I mean, he was fine as a babyface, but once he turned heel, he just turned it up a notch. He's been incredible.
Yeah.
Doing his Eddie Guerrero tribute act. And a lot of what Eddie did was tribute to his late partner, Art Barr. I guess Dominic's kind of doing the Art Barr tribute act. But I think Dominic's been fantastic. He's been one of the best things in wrestling for the last few years.
And so I personally don't like him, but like I'm not supposed to like him.
I think WWE
I think he does his job well.
I think WWE Creative really peaked at the end of 2022 and then leading into WrestleMania 2023. And then I think they were kind of coasting after Cody lost to Roman and into the next WrestleMania. But I think they've done some good stuff in between there and since then. And I think anything with Dominic has been fantastic. Which a lot of that, though, is more about the performers Dominic and Rhea and Liv.
See, I don't like the whole storyline between him and Rhea.
More so than simply the creative. The creative has been fine, but it's been carried by the performers.
Again, not necessarily because it's a bad storyline. It's just
I think it's been great.
Yeah.
I think it's been one of the best things.
Like, it's well done.
It's been
I don't
one
think
of the
I'm
best
supposed
things.
to entirely like it.
It's been one of the best things in current WWE programming.
Obviously, some of what they've done is supposed to piss you off.
Like that, and the stuff with Punk and McIntyre, which is another case of it just sort of falling in their laps because Punk got hurt, and then a lot of it was carried by the performers, and not just that they had great creative. And even the stuff with Punk and Roman and Seth that they're currently doing now, and Punk joining the Bloodline for the cage match, War Games and whatnot. But I don't know. I haven't been a huge fan of a lot of WWE creative lately, but anyway, we're going to go back to watching some more of the past. We're going to skip up to our next match now. Alright, the final match we're going to be watching from WrestleMania 26 is the World Championship match between John Cena and the champion Batista. We've got our show paused at 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 18 seconds. And once again, if you're watching along with us, I'll count down 3, 2, 1, and we'll all play when I say play. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Technically not the main event, because Shawn and Undertaker went on last at this show, but the final World Championship match for WrestleMania 26. In 3, 2, 1, play. Crowd shot as we sweep down and get ready for the entrance of, I assume, the challenger. I assume this is one of the years that John Cena won the Royal Rumble, since he's not coming in as the champion. It is the spinner belt that was made for John Cena, and made famous by John Cena. Also carried by Edge during their legendary feud. Oh, the champ's coming in first. Not entirely unheard of, but uncommon and not conventional.
It looks so big.
Normally the champion will come in first. What, the belt?
Yes.
That's saying something, too, because Batista's not a small man.
Exactly, but it looks huge on him.
He's not a giant by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not small. But then again, neither is John Cena, and the belt was designed for him, so they weren't going to make a tiny belt. I know a lot of people hate on this belt because it was kind of gimmicky, but I think it's a really good-looking belt, honestly. It is leaps and bounds better than the current championship belt. At least the one that Cody carries. The one that Gunther has is a little bit better.
Is that the one we have the toy of?
We do have the toy of this one. Yeah, it was Marcus's belt.
Yeah.
And then got left with us. It's not like a high dollar replica. It's like the one you get at Walmart for $20, but it's actually a pretty decent little toy. I would have been happy to have a toy belt like that when I was a kid.
And I think it's held up all this time, so.
And like I said, even like Steve Austin, he was the first one to have a gimmick belt. When he had his world title reign, he had the Smoking Skull belt. Mm-hmm. And it was a good-looking belt. It was kind of weird, like, oh, now you're the champion, you get a different belt. I like the idea of everybody sharing, it's a title, it's a belt to be passed around. It's the trophy that everybody gets. But as far as just quality of the design, I think this is a good-looking belt. Yeah. And like I said, I think it's way better than anything. It's better than anything they've had as their main belt since at least 2002-ish, when they introduced the Undisputed Championship that Brock Lesnar won at SummerSlam 2002. Wow, you just won't let me finish, will you?
Never.
What were you saying now?
I said, remember that green 24-hour whatever belt?
Oh, yeah, that was not good.
Yeah.
It was reminiscent of the original, or one of the older World Wrestling Federation Championships, the one that Hulk Hogan won when he first came into the company back at the end of 83, beginning of 84.
I'm sure for somebody
and it's actually,
it was wonderful and
it's
nostalgic and everything.
It actually isn't that dissimilar to the current Intercontinental Championship, I think, or at least the one they had. I think it's still the same Intercontinental Championship that Gunther carried for a while, that Braun Breaker has now. I literally just watched him defend it the other night, but I think it's the same belt, but it's not a great-looking belt.
You watched wrestling the other night?
Yeah, the episode, not the most recent one as of the time we're watching this, but the week before, when John Cena did his first heel promo. Which we should we should probably talk about it now. How are you feeling about the John Cena heel turn?
It's a choice.
We should probably bring it up next time too, so Dylan can weigh in. But I think it's baffling for one thing. Like, why throw away 20 years of equity of John Cena's heel run or John Cena's face run for a temporary heel run in the middle of his retirement tour, even?
Yeah,
because by SummerSlam he's going to be a babyface again. They're not going to go back on this and really make the fans hate them, and they're not going to finish his retirement tour with him as a heel, so this is going to be short term. And honestly, I've heard credible reports that this really was a last minute decision, that Rock came in and wanted Cody to turn for him, and they said, no, we ain't turning Cody, but we'll turn Cena. How about that? And I obviously John had to sign off on it and agree to it, but still, the idea that they're going to make this decision in the middle of his retirement tour as a last minute concession to The Rock is crazy. Like, they were quick to compare it to the Hulk Hogan heel turn at Bash at the Beach at 96. And they were doing that on the post-game show right after Elimination Chamber, which was just really grating to me. It was like, it just did not jive, because it's like I'm watching this wrestling show where you're supposed to suspend disbelief, and then they're talking about it in terms of booking decisions, and it's like, I don't have a problem talking about it that way, but not on the post show. Let's try to keep kayfabe for a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think this is not the Hogan heel turn at Bash at the Beach in 96. And now, granted, John Cena has more time put in as a babyface than Hogan did when he made that heel turn. But John Cena has been a part-timer for the last several years, been clearly portrayed as a part-timer for the last several years, and is literally in the middle of his retirement tour. Hulk Hogan, he was definitely past his prime, but he was still figured in as the top or one of the top guys at the time he made the turn. So it's not the same thing. It's not comparable.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, I do think it's also not the Steve Austin heel turn from 2001 in as much as I think it's a bad idea, but it's not going to tank business and effectively in an era like the ill-fated Steve Austin turn did either, just because the business model is different now and one guy's not going to affect things that way. But it still seems silly to me, and especially if it's the last-minute concession of The Rock.
How do you describe John Cena's persona?
Hustle, loyalty, respect. Never give up. I mean, he's
like
got
his aesthetic and everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, that came from, he was originally just like the white meat baby face, and then, as legend has it, Stephanie McMahon heard him do a freestyle rap during the Halloween episode when he came as Vanilla Ice, and then realized they could exploit that persona, and then he was like the hardcore white rapper. And he did an album, and what I've heard of it's actually good. His current entrance music is part of it.
Interesting.
And his previous entrance music was as well. But yeah, I mean, he was just like, late 90s, early 2000s hip-hop style, and it's just sort of grown into the 2000s. The never give up aesthetic, and it's just John Cena at this point.
I was going to say, like, at this point, it's just John Cena. I unfortunately heavily associate him with Nickelodeon.
Yeah. That's not unfair, honestly. But getting back to his heel turn, like I say, as far as it coming when it did, I think it's strange. The Rock's involvement is what it is. We got that first heel promo, and he's given his side of it. He's complaining about the fans always being mean to him. And I'm thinking the whole time, I don't think whiny little bitch John Cena is really the best way to go here. And to me, that whole segment was saved by Cody coming out. And at first I'm like, we don't really need Cody to come out. What is he going to do to make this better? But then Cody, he literally called him a whiny little bitch.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, so Cody expressed what me and probably a lot of the fans were thinking. So that really saved the segment. But then, I haven't watched it yet, but then he came out the week after and basically said the same thing, or the same things.
Just really drilling it.
And then doubled down, saying he's going to win the championship and make everybody forget about Ric Flair. He's going to take the belt home. They're going to have to make a new belt. He's going to destroy wrestling for everybody. And it's like, I'm just not crazy about this direction they're going.
Yeah.
John Cena's delivering the promos very well. He's very good at it. So it's not like he's giving a bad performance, but I think it's the wrong choice. And it's also strange that no mention of The Rock for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Which I'm not saying The Rock needs to be part of it or should be, but the fact is he was a big part of it. And I'll give him credit too. The angle at Elimination Chamber when he turned heel, it was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see it coming until right at the moment before it happened, when they showed the close-up of John Cena's face. I even turned to your mother and said, "Oh, they're going to turn Cena heel."
Yeah.
Which, it was, even having recognized it the millisecond before it happened, it was still a big shock.
Yeah. But he's got some neat tattoos.
You still feel like they're going to need to explain at some point what The Rock has had to do with this,
yes,
and why John Cena and The Rock had to be associated for this to happen.
Yes.
So it's a weird build so far. I will admit it does give a little bit of juice to the Cody John Cena match, because I wasn't super excited about the idea of a babyface John Cena, babyface Cody match. But I thought there was another way they could do it, like maybe stretch out whether Cody's going to take the offer or not. I have one of them play a little more heel leading into the match, but neither one of them totally go heel.
No, they just went all in. Totally had Cena go heel.
So it does give a little bit of juice to the match, but I'm not sure about the build at this point. And like I say, it's hard to judge in the middle of it. Let's see how it ends up,
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, Cody not winning the title at 39 and then winning it at 40 worked out pretty well, even though I think a lot of the creative in between was not that good. I think they made Roman look weak in between. I think Cody was just spinning his wheels. But again, it's a different business model now. They don't have to be great creative. We should be glad they're being as good creative as they are, because they really don't even have to be. I wish it was better, but I'm glad it's not as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
And like I say, I'm still more of a nostalgic wrestling fan than a current wrestling fan anyway, so I'll take it for what it is.
So at least they're not doing some of the creative storylines that they could be.
I'm interested to see where it goes, but I think I think they need to make some changes. I don't think they need to just completely scrap it or anything, but I don't love the direction they're going in yet. Anyway, we'll see how it ends up. Like I said, I'll be shocked if Cena beats Cody.
Yeah,
and I expect Cena to be babyface again by SummerSlam at the latest. So.
I don't think Batista has a lot of tattoos, but he has big tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, his arms are all tattooed. I think he's got more now than he did back then. I think he's added to it, but I may be wrong.
He has some on his chest now, doesn't he?
Batista, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Because I think he has some stuff. I think he has some stuff for Drax. It's just part of the Drax look that isn't his tattoos.
I don't know.
So we may be thinking about that too. Honestly, I've not seen Batista without a shirt on that recently, other than his Drax.
I saw him topless as recently as looking up references.
Because I want to say the last time he wrestled, he did his retirement match in like late 2010s. I can't even pinpoint the year for sure. But he came back for that one match with Triple H at WrestleMania, and that was his retirement match. So even that's been a while. Yeah, I did just double check. Spoiler, John Cena does win this match, by the way.
Boo.
I said John Cena has not lost many title matches at WrestleMania.
Okay, I'm not seeing any chest tattoos.
So I was pretty sure John Cena probably won this match. Like I said, I remember I watched it when it happened. No memory of it whatsoever. Did not remember these two wrestled at WrestleMania. These two were the two finalists in the Royal Rumble 5 years before this, in the infamous spot where they accidentally both went over when only one of them was supposed to.
Yeah.
And they came out and restarted the match, and that's when Batista would win and go on to his first World Championship victory at WrestleMania 21, which we're going to watch on the next episode.
It seems like maybe he expanded the tattoos we see him currently having. Maybe he expanded them up his shoulders and over slightly, but they're not like really chest tattoos.
Yeah, no, if that's his current look, that looks pretty much the same as his wrestling days, or at least the ones we're watching now.
Yeah, say if not the exact same, extremely similar.
These two would have debuted in the WWF right around the same time, right around the 2002 era, when John Cena would just come in as the one who kind of coined the ruthless aggression phrase. He came out and challenged Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle was like, "What have you got that makes you special?" Like, ruthless aggression, and then he took him down, and that was the beginning of the John Cena run, and Batista came in as... He was the deacon for Devon Dudley when they split the Dudley boys up, and Devon was doing the Reverend Devon act. Batista was the deacon and the one holding the cash box for him.
Okay.
Of course, they both came up through OVW under the tutelage of Danny Davis and Jim Cornette, which was one of the WWF developmental territories back in the early 2000s. Of course, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, Randy Orton all came through there as well. Like, most of the 2000s WWE stars came through there.
Do you prefer Batista or Cena?
For what?
Just in general.
I don't know either one of them.
Which one's your more favorite wrestler between the two? Obviously, I know neither are your actual favorite
They'd pretty much be equal, Al.
Really?
In wrestling and acting, they're very similar.
Interesting.
They've kind of, followed the same... I mean, Batista wasn't as big a star as Cena in either medium, but he's not far behind. And he was definitely the guy in the WWF for periods of time. And they're pretty equal in ability in the ring. And they're both good actors. And like you say, neither one was ever my absolute favorite for any reason.
Batista is my absolute favorite wrestler, so...
At this point, I don't even know who my favorite wrestler would have been. I guess Shawn would have still been my favorite wrestler as far as active wrestlers in 2010.
Yeah. When would Brett have stopped mainly wrestling?
2000... He got the concussion at the end of 99, so in 2000. And yeah, we should mention, that is, Bret Hart came back to wrestle, I put in quotes, Vince McMahon at this show in a really ugly match segment, but I mean, Bret can only do so much at this point. I do remember that match. And I considered watching it, but I didn't really want to watch a long segment with Vince McMahon, and like I say, it doesn't show Bret in the best light either, as far as his wrestling ability.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose not to watch it, but I do remember that match on this show. But yeah, Bret's probably my all-time favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
He'd be up in the group with Shawn and Ric Flair and Kurt Angle and Rob Van Dam. And as far as current guys, probably CM Punk. CM Punk and Cody, probably.
Yeah.
I like LA Knight a lot, too, speaking of current guys. He's always really impressive every time I see him. I know his act is sort of a mix of Stone Cold and The Rock, but Stone Cold and The Rock aren't really there doing those acts constantly, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
And he does it really well. And in the ring, I'm really impressed every time I see him in a big match.
So I feel like
he quite often surprises me and ends up having a really good match. And like I think he had like the best match at SummerSlam this past year. He and AJ, even though I expected it to be a real styles clash, no pun intended, had like a really good match at WrestleMania, unless they wrestled at SummerSlam, and I'm just getting that mixed up. But I think they were at WrestleMania last year. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it. I feel like he's somebody who's again getting kind of pushed down though, and not featured as much as he should be.
That sounds about right.
But he's somebody who I'm pretty impressed with as far as and I just don't watch AEW enough to really have a favorite of the group over there.
I definitely don't watch much AEW.
Now that they're on Max, I have access to them every week, but I just, I don't know.
You were watching AEW the other night, weren't you?
Yeah, I watched like 5 minutes of it when I was making dinner, because it took me a little while to turn it on, and then I was done, but...
I just happened to be in the kitchen for those 5 minutes.
Even WWE, Raw's on Netflix, so I can watch Raw every week now.
We've watched it, like once
We watched the debut,
so
yeah, and then I watched bits and pieces of it other weeks.
Yeah,
it's just hard to commit 2 to 3 hours, on any given week, especially to do it regularly.
Yeah, honestly. But no, I remember the night Cena was doing his
Spinebuster
promo and the whiny bitch comment and whatnot. One of my friends had just gotten off of work or something and was watching it and telling me about it. And like right after they told me about it, I walked out here and you were watching it.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Cody saved that. I mean, John Cena it wasn't bad because of Cena's performance. I just don't necessarily think it was the best direction in which to go.
Yeah.
But to me, Cody saved it by speaking for all the fans and literally saying, "You're being a whiny little bitch."
Definitely. One of the reasons we love Cody.
Like, it's not what I expected from Cena, and I hope they change directions a little bit before we get there.
I'm sure they will.
And like I say,
at some point.
Whether he should have been involved or not, The Rock was a big part of it, so they need to tie that back in. Batista reaches the ropes, breaks. John calls that move the STFU. It's basically the STF, which was a submission hold popularized in Japan in the 90s.
Interesting.
I remember Masachono doing it. It was the first person I saw doing it. And there's the spear from Batista. Not the best spear.
Wrestling.
I've heard people often say if you look at a wrestler's eyes, if his eyes are open, it's not going to be the finish.
Have you ever paid enough attention to
I try to watch sometimes when I think about it, but the camera angle's not always there either to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to watch, and for the most part I have noticed that to be the case when I could see him.
Interesting.
I'm not sure why that theory holds. I don't know if it's so they can see the referees count and make sure they kick out, or if they're closing their eyes to make sure they don't accidentally kick out, or if it's just habit, or what, or if it's meant to be a signal to the referee.
Maybe.
I've never heard that part of it
explained. It's just like a common selling thing. Just a common human reaction thing.
Looks like they're setting up a superplex here.
I know I did a terrible job describing that, but I'm sure somebody
else. Oh, they're holding hands. Look at that. That's so sweet. They're going to hold both hands. Oh, the test of strength on the ropes. That's kind of unique.
Yeah.
We've seen this. If you watch a lot of wrestling, you've seen this test of strength move a lot, but not necessarily up on the ropes.
I feel like I have not seen it a lot.
You haven't watched enough wrestling.
That's fact.
Especially from the 90s and before.
Fact.
Headbutts to the shoulder. I guess it's not a headbutt. Is it a headbutt? Because he's using his head, but he's hitting him in the shoulder.
Yeah. I think it's a headbutt as long as you use your head. It's a headbutt because
you're using your head. It doesn't matter. Yeah, because a diving headbutt, or you do a headbutt to the groin or something. Yeah, okay. Now Cena gonna fly. That's not traditional Cena. But we've seen him go up there a few times. Oh, is he gonna do the 5-knuckle shuffle from the top rope? You can't see me. It was funny in his first heel promo when he's like, "You made." Batista? It was a fist drop. That's what the 5-knuckle shuffle is.
I just didn't see him make contact.
Oh yeah, he may well not have made contact.
Yeah,
but that's the idea.
It looks like he kind of went off to the side.
He may well have missed it. I think he's pretty famous for not really hitting it. Batista bomb.
Nice.
But he's not going to get him. Yeah, I can't see John's eyes to see if they're open or closed.
I wasn't paying.
But the one thing I did.
I like his face.
The one thing I did like in Cena's first heel promo was when he complained about, "You made me the butt of a stupid invisible joke for 15 years." That was kind of a fun reference.
Yeah. Gosh, I remember kids doing that all the time in elementary school. Like at lunch and recess and everything.
But even having said that, like I say, overall, I don't like the whiny nature of the promo. I think he should have come out a little stronger than that. And even though I expected the sort of cliched, I did it for me, and I'm older now, and I need whatever shirts I can get to, justify my legacy or secure my legacy.
Yeah.
He would have, just like he delivered this well, he would have delivered it well.
Can I say,
I'm not crazy about the direction they're going.
That's, the thing I remember most of elementary school lunch is kids doing the John Cena thing and trading gum. That's elementary school lunch to me. Attitude
adjustment. Cover. Nope. John kicked out of Batista's finisher. Batista kicked out of John's. Batista has a very wrinkly head.
Okay.
I don't mean to call attention to it. I feel bad about it now, but it was just there.
Yeah.
He seems to be okay with it.
I'm sure he is.
I would assume so. Now, I trade a wrinkly head for all his success anyway. But it just seemed to stand out there for a minute. I'm not sure why.
That's all right. The camera did kind of...
I feel really bad about that because Dave Batista seems like a really good dude. And he and I seem like very similar in a lot of our belief systems. And a lot of things that are important to us, so... I feel really bad. I hope I didn't hurt his feelings. I'm sure he's listening.
Sorry, Batista.
Because I really like Dave Batista, so... Yeah, as a person, I would take Batista over Cena, just because I know nothing about John Cena as far as personally.
I know he did a lot of Make-A-Wish stuff.
Well, yeah, and that's great, but Hulk Hogan did a lot of Make-A-Wish stuff too, and he's a piece of shit. So,
as far as I know, he does a lot of charity, but yeah, I don't know too much.
But yeah,
I don't know much about.
As far as his real personal morals and values and where he stands in political issues and whatnot, he's not out there and saying that. So I don't know that. I know Batista more than Cena because Batista's taking the time to express it, and I think that's important too.
Yeah.
It bothers me when you have a platform and you choose not to use it.
Yeah.
So, take that for what it is. So, personally, I would take Batista. But as far as professionally, I think they're pretty much on an equal footing as far as what I've enjoyed of their work over the years.
Does Batista have kids?
Not that I know of.
I don't know. I was questioning that.
Neither does Cena.
Yeah.
Not that that makes any difference one way or the other.
No.
Wait, is that it? Oh, Batista tapped. That's the weakest little tap, though. Like, I'm tapping. I guess I'll finish. Okay.
He didn't want to.
And this was 2010. Tap outs were a big part of pro wrestling by this point. It wasn't, because, back in the day before MMA got really big, it was a submission. And sometimes the guy would shake their head to really make it emphatic, but it was basically just the referee. You want to submit, okay, he's submitting. There wasn't a big visual cue before the tap out became, but by 2010, that was a major part of it. But anyway, there we go. John Cena gets his belt back. Like I said, Batista wasn't the only one to carry that belt.
Yeah.
I know Edge had it during his and John Cena's feud. I'm sure Randy probably had it because he and Cena feuded over the belt. Hell, I think even Miz, when he had his world title run, that was still the belt they were using.
Interesting.
But clearly it's synonymous with Cena. Maybe not as much as the Smoking Skull belt is synonymous with Austin, because if someone would beat Austin for the belt, they might use it temporarily. They might go back to the other belt. But obviously it kind of, came and went with Austin.
Yeah.
And then, to be fair, Cena was around the whole time they used the spinner belt, but he wasn't always the champion during those times.
Batista has 3 kids.
Okay. Did I say he didn't have kids, or did I say I didn't know? Because
I don't know.
I legitimately didn't know.
But just to answer that question, he has 3 of them.
I know for a fact John doesn't have kids, because I just watched an interview.
John Cena's birthday is coming up soon, too.
Oh, well, happy birthday, John.
His is 4 days after mine, apparently.
All right. Well, happy birthday. Happy early birthday, John Cena. And what?
Batista's is back in January.
Well, happy belated birthday, Batista. Happy, pretty much right on birthday, Randy Orton. I know they're all listening. I know they can't wait for the new. They've been upset that we haven't dropped an episode in a while.
They're sitting around.
I felt bad about it, especially for Batista too, because like I said, he seems like such a good
podcast,
dude.
They come check out this one too.
Actually, Orton seems like a pretty good dude too.
As far as I can tell, John Cena does not have kids.
No, I know he doesn't, because he flat out said he didn't. I just watched an interview with him like 2 days ago where he was talking about it. But, to be fair, I don't think the interview was from 2 days ago, but it was fairly recent as far as I know.
Yeah.
And
he's almost 10 years younger than Batista.
And if he didn't have kids at the time of that interview, it was recent enough that he would have known that the kid was on the way, probably, unless somebody was just keeping it quiet.
Yeah.
What were you saying about John?
He said he's almost 10 years younger than Batista.
Yeah, Batista started wrestling late, though. He got into it later in life. I think he was, nearly 30 by the time he really
No, I didn't look
got into
deep
it.
onto the Wikipedia pages.
I'm pretty sure Batista's in his 50s by now.
Yes, 56.
Okay, and I said 2002, so that was 23 years before that. So yeah, he was in his 30s by the time he got into wrestling.
Yeah. And John Cena's about to be 48, I think.
Well, at least he's still older than me. All right, well, we're going to call that our WrestleMania teaser episode because we're going to get into the full menu next week when we watch the entirety of WrestleMania 21. And Dylan will be back for that episode, hopefully. That's the plan anyway. And make sure you come back then when the conversation will continue. But until then, I am going to continue to be Maddie.
Lexi.
I was waiting for Dylan. And this is LexiCon concluded.